That was so close to what would have been such a special start for you as Spurs manager. How did the game get away from you in the last 10 minutes?
Yeah, I would like to see it from a different perspective. I think we played a very good game. We're playing against one of the best teams in the world, maybe the best this moment in time. And I think we had them exactly where we wanted them for 80-something minutes until the 2-1 goal. And of course, it's shifted a little bit of momentum, but so much positive, so proud of the team, the players, the club, the fans. Yeah, I think there's a lot to be happy with. It's a flip of a coin when you go into a penalty shootout.
There was a lot to like about that performance. What areas in particular were you pleased with the most in terms of what you've been working with this team since you took over?
Yeah, I think we showed that we can be adaptable and pragmatic because I think we needed to be that against a team like PSG. I think the way we wanted to defend, both high pressure and also low defending, was exceptionally good. I think first half was top, almost perfect. And obviously the set pieces was also very good and very dangerous.
Yeah, is that something that you've spent a lot of time on? Because it's obviously something we know that you were so good at with your Brentford team as well.
Yeah, definitely. It's key. I think it's for any team it should be a weapon, in my opinion. We definitely will focus on it because I think it's a key area.
When you're up against an elite team like PSG, as you said, possibly the best team in the world right now, does a game like this show that there's still plenty of work to do if you want to reach their heights?
Yeah, I knew that before the game, but I think in one game, I think we showed that we can play up against any team in the world, and I'm not in doubt that we can do that, and that's a positive we'll take away from this.
Looking ahead now, you have said you're definitely in the market for players. What areas in particular are you looking to strengthen?
We like to strengthen the squad, no doubt about that. And we do work very hard to see if we can do that. In general, I'm happy with the squad. But of course, in every transfer window, you like to see if you can make the squad stronger before the window closes. So that's what we're working hard on.
Premier League campaign begins on Saturday against Burnley. You get your first taste in the home dugout at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. How important is it for you and this team to get off to a good start in the Premier League?
I think, I've said that many times before. I have a rule, it's 24 hours. I think it's a short turnaround, but I think there'll be a little bit of disappointment the next 24 hours. And then when I wake up tomorrow and tomorrow afternoon, we'll be ready. Friday we'll be more ready. I'll make sure we come flying out on Saturday.
Thanks for talking to us.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, he's a great interviewee, isn't he, Thomas Frank? He always gives you such honest and, pardon the pun, but very frank answers as well. He talked about, the balance of the team, the high pressing and the defending as well. He talked about the set pieces, the things that we all pointed out. But he talked about how they were adaptable and pragmatic as well. And I think that's so important for a team that are going into fight on all four fronts now. And he says, it's key for Thomas Frank to be able to have a squad that can nicely to their Champions League crown, which they won at the end of last season as well. It's a really difficult one for Spurs and their fans to take as well. But what we saw there was a PSG side who proved just exactly why they have the crowns that they've just won tonight, because they're a side who, even when they aren't at their best, and they really weren't against this Spurs side, they do have those moments of magic and players who can turn it around.
Yeah, they've got star quality, haven't they? They might have lost Mbappe, but the team, I think the Vitinha little back pass towards Lee, which we're about to see, was genius. But I think, look, started to get crosses into the box and loading it. This pass now, Vitinha, bang, then a nice tight touch from Lee there that sets him on his way to have the finish. If he doesn't get the first touch right, it takes him in this first touch there, bang, just sets him on his way. And it's a really, really clean finish. But Spurs were tired, couldn't get up to the ball, couldn't get the crosses in, Glenn.
For me, Romero's header is poor. He's gone to the centre of the goal. That's got to go away. He's got to go back from where the cross had put the ball. It's a great finish, don't it? The first touch from Lee was excellent. But as the ball's whizzed in, Romero's tried to do something hard and it's gone straight in the danger area where it's got to go back out towards where the cross was made. And I think the danger then is out the window.
Well, it was 2-1 at this point. In the 85th minute, that's when Lee Kang-in scored that goal. And then 4 minutes into injury time, you weren't happy with Romero again because this gave Gonzalo Ramos a chance to equalise. It's
a great goal, don't get me wrong, but I think when I say I'm not happy with him, it's something that was ingrained in them last year. Whenever under Ange they got out to the 18-yard box. You see all the Spurs players, they go to the 18-yard box, they come up when it's crosses coming in. The ball gets built across, they're coming out there now, yeah, but if you watch Romero, he just steps up now. And that's last year, not this year. That's not what the manager wants. He needs to block off the near post. And he stepped up, look. And it's sort of something that was ingrained in him last year. He's out of position. Fabulous finish, fabulous ball. But as soon as it goes in there, you block off that near post. But you can't if you've stepped up, because that's been ingrained last year. And they all did it, but this year, only Romero's done it. It's something that was subconsciously, something that he was used to doing. And he can't get across to block the near post. And yes, great finish from Ramos.
Yeah, it's a bit of reprogramming required, I think, for this side. I mean, they're very early into this this sort of new Thomas Frank era, aren't they? But let's take a look at the penalties. I wonder if they'd have practiced penalties, actually, for Tottenham Hotspur, because they might not have expected to get to this particular point. But I presume that, Thomas Frank is very diligent and he would have done it. But they did miss 2, Tottenham Hotspur. The first one was Mickey van der Ven, who's actually scored the opening goal for Tottenham Hotspur. Disappointing, this one.
Yeah, it was. I mean, look, I definitely think they would have practiced, Reshman, because the manager is big on details, and after majority of the penalties, they went over to Vicario. But look, he's put power and pace to it, but look, it's not exactly in the corner, and Chevalier there, he steps up and makes the save, and this one hitting the target. Look, I'm not here to. He's done everything right. Sent the keeper the wrong way. He's given him the eyes. Just not hit the target.
Just dragged it. I mean, he's done everything right. He sent the keeper the wrong way. That's why you do the little dummy, and he's just dragged it wide. And in the end, it gets down. Mendes gets the winner for them. But I mean, it's so disappointing for Tottenham because you were 2-0 up with 10 minutes to go, and I can, they'll be devastated in that dressing room. Of course they will. But there's so many positives for tonight coming out of that game for them to go on. The Substance League, if you're going to play in the Premier League, you need a squad. And they have got a squad, Paris Saint-Germain. They've built that over a period of time, but that shows you the quality that they can bring on. And there's other teams around that are going to have that in England and in Europe. So that's why you've got to bolster up your squad and make sure your squad's good enough, not just your starting 11. And I think Spurs have learnt that lesson tonight. But my word, from their performance, They realise now, going home in that plane, they're saying we can go toe-to-toe with anyone this season. Because if we perform like that, that's a template to go and play against the top teams. And if we do that right, we've just proved to ourselves, nobody else, just ourselves, that we can do that.
Yeah, and as you say, look, it was all about taking the positives from tonight. And last season, so much criticism about, how Tottenham would consistently concede goals on set pieces. They just couldn't defend them. But it looked like this is something that Thomas Frank has really worked on here because it bore fruit for the first goal. Yeah,
I mean, we saw it on, I can't remember what player leaked it in the dressing room, that there was a set piece.
Destiny Udogie, we believe, wasn't it?
Yeah, he leaked it, and look, it's manager's preference, and obviously under Thomas Frank we've seen at Brentford they were big on set pieces, and this is no different today. Vicario, sending it long direct, putting it in there. You've got physical players, tall players with the presence now, win the first ball, land on the second balls, and it can get you huge success. And sometimes when you play teams like Paris Saint-Germain, you've got tiny players like Vitinho and who probably aren't, and Kvaratskhelia, who aren't the ones that are up there to win physical battles in set pieces. So it's an area that you can massively exploit, and you've seen that with Thomas Frank. Everything about throw-ins and corners and set pieces. Again, this was now for the second one. Romero peeling around the back post unopposed. Yes, it's poor marking, but you've got to make that happen. Goalkeeper, big mistake, granted, but you make your own luck, and he does everything right. He heads it down, causes the bounce, and if the keeper does save it, there's plenty of Tottenham players there just to nudge it in for the tap-in. So look, it was a massive weapon, but I think for Spurs moving forward, yes, set pieces are going to be really key, but they do need to bring in some more attacking players, that they can't over-rely on set pieces to get in the results, but it's a major positive.
Well, take a look at this. This is talking about Thomas Frank talking about maximising set pieces, and this is what it's all about, Glenn. When you are a manager, it's those marginal gains, and that comes from those details like that.
of course. It's called a set play because you get 10 yards. Very rarely in football in modern day you're going to get 10 yards of space, and you get that from a free kick or a long throw-in. You know, no one's going to be able to put you under pressure on a long throw-in. So at the end of the day, that you got a chance then. But you've still, doesn't matter what you do about set, you've still got to have the quality of the ball played in, or the actual throw is a good throw. And it looks like Danzo has got a long throw. We didn't see that last year.
Passed the audition, didn't he?
He passed that audition.
Passed the audition.
Yeah.
Do you know what?
It's interesting. A new manager comes in, and you find out who suddenly you go. It happened to me, you know, many moons ago. One day, about 3 or 4 years into the team, I'm a young kid still, and I get to the training ground, I'd take a long throw. I didn't even know I could take a long throw. Everyone went, "Where's that come from?" So in the end, I was
You're the man.
Yeah,
now.
that's why I got a bad back now. But no, it was good that, you know, you find out about who's good at what, and Porro puts in a fantastic, great run, great set plays. But if you don't get the actual ball in the correct position with the timing, then you know you're not going to score from set plays. So it's a big plus for Tottenham now, and they'll have that belief again. It's all about belief. It's happened tonight. They've scored 2 from set plays. What do you think is going to happen come the weekend? Any set play, you fancy your chances. Whereas before, if it weren't happening for you, you think, I'm going up, but you know, I've got to run back in a minute because we're not going to score. It's about the mind.
It is about the mind. Look, they've got a set-piece coach now. It could be the signing of the summer for them. But we saw Thomas Frank there. And this is a really sort of interesting and important introduction for Thomas Frank in Europe as well, because he's never managed at this level. What do you think sort of other European teams watching Spurs tonight will have taken from from him? And what would
he lip-read after the game? Luis Enrique said to him when they shook hands, "I'm sorry." He was almost sorry. You were the better team. You deserved it. And I think that would be it. There'll be respect instantly. You know, they learnt a few lessons from the Bayern Munich game. I watched that. And that could have been a cricket score. So they tightened up, and that was a real deal. That was a real match there today. That was, both teams, and I think they learnt a little bit from when Chelsea beat them in the World Club Championship. They smothered the midfield. They put legs in there. Sarr had a particularly good game, but I think that would be a nice template for big games, when you're going to play against the top teams in England, and I think when you're going to go into the European Champions League games. And they've proved that they can do it against the very best.
Yeah, they certainly have. Look, it wasn't meant to be their night tonight. They did lead in this game up until